My child, pause for a moment and let everything else fall away. Do not rush past this. Do not treat this like another passing sound in a crowded day. I have drawn you into this exact moment because I want your full attention, not to burden you, not to accuse you, not to frighten you, but to speak to the part of you that has been carrying too much for too long. Right now, this is not about the world around you. It is not about the people who misunderstood you, the pressure waiting for you tomorrow, the messages you still need to answer, or the responsibilities sitting heavily on your chest. For this moment, it is only you and me. I want you to feel the weight of that in the gentlest way. You are not lost in a crowd to me. You are not one among millions, fading into the background. I know exactly where you are, exactly what you have been feeling, exactly what you have not been able to explain to anyone else. And I came close because your heart needed more than advice. It needed truth spoken with tenderness. You may think this is just another video, just another message, just another few minutes in a long day. But I need you to understand that I do not move carelessly in your life. I do not interrupt your attention without purpose. I do not stir your spirit for no reason. I know how tired you have been. I know how often you keep going, while something inside you quietly aches. I know how often you smile when you would rather be silent. I know how often you tell yourself you are fine because you do not want to explain the exhaustion that has no simple cause. I know the weariness in your thoughts. I know the heaviness that follows you into the morning and lingers beside you at night. And because I know, I have come close to tell you something your soul has needed to hear for a long time. You do not have to carry yourself through this season by force. You do not have to hold everything together alone. You do not have to pretend with me. Listen carefully now because I am not speaking in general ideas. I am speaking to your real life. I am speaking to the hidden places. I am speaking to the parts of you that feel overlooked. The parts of you that still love deeply, even after disappointment. The parts of you that kept hoping even after being let down. The parts of you that became quiet because it seemed safer than explaining what hurt. I know you. I know how strong you have tried to be. I know how often you have chosen endurance over honesty. I know how many times you wanted to rest but felt guilty for slowing down. I know how you have measured yourself against impossible standards and then wondered why peace felt so far away. My child, peace was never meant to be something you earned by doing everything right. Peace was always meant to be something you received by coming close to me. That is why I am asking you to stay here with me for a little while longer. Let your guard soften. You do not need to analyze every sentence. You do not need to figure everything out before you receive what I am saying. Let these words move past your defenses and reach the place in you that is still tender. You have spent enough time bracing yourself. You have spent enough time expecting disappointment before anything good can settle in your heart. You have spent enough time preparing for loss before you allow yourself to feel hope. But this moment is not here to trick you. I am not awakening your attention just to leave you emptier than before. I am drawing near because I want to restore something that has been worn thin. I want to remind you that even in the middle of confusion, my presence has not left your life. There was a time when closeness with me felt simple to you. Do you remember it? Perhaps it was not perfect. Perhaps life was not easier then. But there was a softness in your heart, a tenderness in your prayers, a trust that did not have to be forced. You did not have to fight so hard to believe that I was near. You did not need every answer before you could rest. You came to me with what was real. Sometimes you spoke in whispers. Sometimes you said very little. Sometimes you sat in silence, and that silence felt full rather than empty. You sensed that I understood you. And because of that, your soul could breathe. I remember those moments. I remember every prayer you thought was too small. Every tear you thought no one noticed. Every quiet turning of your heart toward me. None of it was wasted. None of it disappeared into nothing. I held all of it close. You may wonder why that closeness feels harder now. You may look at your present heart and feel grief over what seems missing. You may blame yourself for the distance. You may think you failed. You may think you became too distracted, too inconsistent, too tired, too complicated for intimacy with me to feel natural again. But hear me clearly, I am not speaking to you with disappointment. I am speaking to you with understanding. Life layered itself over your heart slowly. Responsibilities increased. Pain accumulated. Questions multiply. The world around you grew louder. Demands became constant. Survival became a habit. You learned how to function under pressure. You learned how to show up while hurting. You learned how to keep moving when your spirit wanted stillness. And over time, the noise crowded out the quiet where you used to hear me most easily. The distance you felt was not proof that I walked away. It was proof that you were trying to live under a weight you were never meant to hold without me. I never withdrew from you. I never decided you were too much. I never stepped back because your prayers became fewer or your thoughts became messy. I stayed. I stayed when your mind was noisy. I stayed when silence felt uncomfortable. I stayed when you reached for distractions because being still with your own feelings felt too heavy. I stayed when your faith felt fragile. I stayed when you spoke to me honestly, and when you did not know how to speak at all. My love for you has never depended on how well you perform closeness. My nearness has never been measured by your emotional strength. I am not waiting for a polished version of you to return. I am here for the real you, the tired you, the confused you, the hopeful but hesitant you, the version of you that is still trying even after many private battles. That is the one I am speaking to right now, my child. Your heart has been heavy in ways you have struggled to describe. Not everything that weighs on you has a clear name. Some of it is accumulated sadness. Some of it is pressure. Some of it is old disappointment that never fully left. Some of it is fear about things that have not happened yet. Some of it is the strain of holding yourself together when you wish someone else would notice how tired you are. You have carried this heaviness into ordinary moments. You have taken it with you into conversations, into work, into quiet evenings, into restless nights. Sometimes you can ignore it for a little while. Sometimes you bury it beneath tasks and routines, but it returns, does not it? It returns in the silence. It returns when you finally stop moving. It returns when your thoughts no longer have anything to hide behind. I know that heaviness. I have watched you walk with it. I have seen how hard you have tried to remain dependable, while something in you longed to lay the burden down. Let me tell you gently what that weight really is. It is not proof that you are weak. It is not proof that you are failing. It is not proof that you are faithless. Much of what you have been feeling is the result of carrying things that were never meant to live on your shoulders. You have carried worry as though it were a responsibility. You have carried emotional pain as though it were your duty to solve it alone. You have carried other people's expectations as though they were instructions from heaven. You have carried fear about the future, as though rehearsing every possible outcome could protect you from sorrow. You have carried guilt for resting. You have carried guilt for not being enough. You have carried guilt for needing reassurance, my child. You were not designed to carry all of that by yourself. Your soul grows tired when it tries to become its own source of security. That is why I am drawing close now, not to shame you for being overwhelmed, but to free you from what you were never supposed to hold alone. You have been telling yourself that strength means pushing through without complaint. You have been acting as though resilience requires silence. You have often chosen composure over honesty because you did not want to burden anyone or appear fragile. Yet real strength is not pretending nothing hurts. Real strength is not refusing to rest. Real strength is not building a life around constant pressure and then calling it maturity. Real strength is knowing when to stop gripping what is crushing you and place it in my hands. Real strength is trusting that surrender is not failure. Real strength is letting yourself be supported by a love that does not grow impatient with your need. I am inviting you into that kind of strength now, the kind that breathes, the kind that releases, the kind that stops performing control and begins receiving peace. I know there are thoughts inside you that you rarely say aloud, questions you pushed aside because they made you uncomfortable, fears you buried because you thought faithful people should not have them. My child, nothing hidden in your heart has ever been hidden from me. I have heard the questions you never finished. I have seen the tears you wiped away quickly. I have felt the tension behind your calm voice. I know the moments when you asked yourself whether you are really enough. I know the moments when you looked at other people and felt behind, lesser, slower, less certain, less gifted, less secure. I know the quiet fear that you may never become the person you hope to be. I know the ache of wondering whether your life is unfolding as it should, or whether you have somehow missed something important. And I know the guilt that followed when you dared to question anything at all. Hear me carefully. Your questions do not offend me. Your doubt does not scare me. Your weariness does not make me love you less. Honest struggle does not cancel real faith. You are not disqualified because you have wrestled with uncertainty. You are human, and humans grow through seasons where clarity feels thin. What matters is not that you never tremble. What matters is where you bring your trembling. Bring it to me. Bring me the questions that embarrassed you. Bring me the thoughts you judged. Bring me the fear that rises when the future feels unclear. Bring me the ache of wanting your life to matter. Bring me the pain of not knowing what comes next. I would rather meet you in honest uncertainty than watch you hide behind forced confidence. You do not need to impress me with certainty. I am moved by openness. I come near to truth spoken from the heart. You have also carried a loneliness that has been difficult to explain. Not always the loneliness of having no one around, but the deeper loneliness of feeling unseen even when people are near. You have entered rooms and still felt separate. You have helped others while privately needing comfort yourself. You have listened to many people without feeling deeply listened to in return. You have answered, "I am fine," when a truer answer would have taken too long to explain. You have shown up with kindness while grieving the fact that very few people understand how much it costs you just to keep showing up. That kind of loneliness cuts deeply because it is not solved by noise or company. It is the ache of wanting to be known without needing to perform. It is the ache of wanting someone to notice the hidden strain beneath your steady exterior. I have seen that loneliness, my child. I have stood beside you in the middle of it. I was there in the nights when your tears came after the day was finally over. I was there in the moments when you could no longer hold your emotions neatly inside yourself. I was there when no one called, when no one asked the deeper question, when no one stayed long enough to hear the full truth. I was there when you sat quietly because speaking felt too vulnerable. I was there when you stared into the dark and tried to make sense of your own heart. I was there when you cried from exhaustion, more than from any single event. I was there when disappointment layered itself over older disappointment, and you could not untangle the reasons for your grief. I saw every tear. None of them were ignored. None of them were wasted. Release is not weakness. Tears are not evidence of failure. Sometimes they are the soul's honest confession that it can no longer carry pain in silence. You were never invisible to me, even when others misunderstood you. I knew your heart. Even when your effort went unnoticed, I saw every quiet act of endurance. Even when your kindness was taken for granted, I held it with honor. Even when you wondered whether anyone would realize how much you were sacrificing, I knew. You may have thought I was absent because people around you were unaware. But my awareness has never left you. I know how much courage it took for you to remain gentle when life tempted you to become hard. I know how much energy it took to care when you felt empty. I know how many times you kept going because you did not think stopping was an option. I know the strength hidden inside your continued presence. And I want you to stop calling yourself weak for the very wounds that prove how long you have been carrying more than most people ever saw. My child, there are places in your heart where disappointment has tried to become a permanent voice. It has whispered that nothing really changes. It has suggested that hope only leads to hurt, It has taught you to lower your expectations so that pain will feel easier to manage. It has made caution feel safer than trust. It has encouraged you to expect silence where you once expected comfort. I know why you became careful. I know why you started guarding your heart more tightly. You have lived through enough to understand that not every promise is kept, and not every person stays. But do not let disappointment become the lens through which you read my heart. I am not careless with you. I am not inconsistent in the way humans can be inconsistent. I am not distracted from your life. I am not late because I forgot you. There are things I have been doing in quiet places that you could not yet see. Not because I wanted to withhold love, but because not every work of healing is visible while it is happening. You wanted answers quickly, and I understood that you wanted relief, and I did not despise your desire for relief. You wanted the situation to change so your heart could finally rest. But there are moments when I must work first beneath the surface. Seeds do not begin by appearing above the ground. Roots are formed in hidden places. Foundation is laid before a structure rises. There are areas of your life where I have been strengthening you from within, teaching you depth where you once relied only on momentum, teaching you discernment where you once settled for surface peace, teaching you to recognize my voice, not just in emotional highs, but in steady truth. The process has felt slow to you because growth beneath the surface always does. But slow does not mean absent. Hidden does not mean empty. Delayed is not the same as denied. I have been nearer than you realized, and more active than your feelings could always detect. Now, I want to speak directly to the fear you carry about your worth. You have wondered whether you are enough. You have wondered whether your flaws overshadow your value. You have wondered whether your inconsistency, your hesitation, your mistakes, or your wounds make you less worthy of love, purpose, or peace. My child, your worth was never something you were assigned to build from your own success. Your worth began in my heart. It was spoken over you before anyone praised you, before anyone rejected you, before anyone compared you, before you achieved anything, before you failed at anything. You do not become valuable when you are flawless. You are valuable because you are mine. Your weakness does not erase that. Your past does not erase that. Your uncertainty does not erase that. Your tiredness does not erase that. Nothing fragile in you frightens me away. It simply becomes a place where my tenderness can rest. You have also feared that you missed your purpose. You have looked at your life and wondered whether you took a wrong turn that placed you too far from what was meant for you. You have compared your timeline to the timeline of others, and quietly judged yourself for not being farther ahead. You have wondered whether you wasted years, opportunities, energy, or potential. My child, purpose is not a single doorway that disappears forever if you do not walk through it at the perfect second. Purpose unfolds with me. It grows through trust, through obedience, through learning, through pain that becomes wisdom. Through detours, I can still redeem. There is no season of your life that I cannot weave into meaning. Nothing surrendered to me remains useless. Even your waiting has shaped you. Even your confusion has taught you. Even your disappointment has deepened your heart in ways you will understand more clearly later. You are not abandoned in some accidental version of your life. I am still guiding you, even now. Do not let comparison tell you a false story. Other people may seem certain while you feel unsure. Other people may appear settled while you are still becoming. Other people may show confidence while privately carrying their own hidden fears. You were never meant to measure your journey by someone else's visible chapter. I am writing with details they cannot see. I am shaping your soul in ways applause could never accomplish. I am teaching you how to stand with humility, how to carry compassion, how to seek truth deeper than image, how to remain soft without becoming weak. These things matter more than you realize. The world praises speed, visibility, and appearance. I care about depth, honesty, and alignment. You are not late. in my hands. You're being formed. I know you also worry about the future, sometimes not in dramatic ways, but in the quiet, exhausting way that never fully turns off. You worry about making the wrong choice. You worry about ending up alone. You worry about whether the things you hope for will ever happen. You worry about time slipping by while you are still trying to figure out who you are. You worry that life may become a long story of surviving rather than truly living. My child, I know every one of these fears. I do not dismiss them. But I need you to understand something important. Fear magnifies uncertainty until it looks like destiny. It takes what is unknown and treats it as already ruined. It makes you rehearse tomorrow's pain while missing today's grace. It exhausts the heart by demanding answers before the right moment arrives. I am not asking you to pretend fear does not exist. I am asking you not to let fear become your guide. Let me be your guide instead. I know what you cannot yet see. I know which doors are truly for you, and which ones would wound you. I know what must end, and what must begin. I know what is ready, and what is still being prepared. I know the people who will nourish your life and the patterns that drain it. I know the exact pace at which your soul can grow without being crushed. Your future does not rest on your ability to predict every outcome. It rests in my faithful awareness. You are safest not when you control everything, but when you remain close to me in the middle of what you do not control. I will lead you step by step. I will not hand you a whole lifetime at once, because that would overwhelm you. But I will give you the light you need for the next right step, and then the next, and then the next. There is another thing I need you to release, the belief that you must earn rest. You have lived as though peace must be deserved after perfect performance. You have treated rest like a reward rather than a necessity. You have felt guilty for slowing down. You have felt guilty for needing reassurance. You have felt guilty for having limits. But my child, limits are not failures. They are part of being human. Rest is not laziness when your soul is depleted. Rest is trust. Rest is wisdom. Rest is what allows your heart to remember that you are not a machine built only for output. I did not create you to live under unending strain. I created you for relationship, for truth, for love, for peace that can breathe. Let yourself stop running inside. Let yourself unclench. Let yourself admit that you need care. You do not have to justify your exhaustion to me. I already understand it. Some of the heaviness in you will begin to lift the moment you stop resisting the truth that you need me. Not because I expect dependency as weakness, but because real love invites closeness. You were never meant to be self-sustaining in the deepest places of your heart. You need a refuge larger than your own mind. You need a wisdom deeper than your own shifting thoughts. You need a love that does not leave when you feel less impressive. That is what I offer you. Not temporary relief that depends on circumstances, but my presence in the middle of them. Not a life with no hardship, but a heart that does not have to bear hardship alone. Not a promise that every question disappears instantly, but a certainty that you are our company while answers are still forming. I want you to remember something else. There have been times when you thought you were falling apart, yet you were actually being brought to the end of false strength. There have been moments when your usual methods could no longer carry you, and that frightened you. But what if those moments were not proof that you were losing yourself? What if they were invitations to stop building life around the exhausting belief that you must save yourself through effort alone? My child, there is mercy in reaching the place where pretending no longer works. There is mercy in discovering that control cannot heal the heart. There is mercy in recognizing that your soul needs more than discipline. It needs communion. It needs truth. Spoken gently, it needs me. Do not be ashamed of how much this season has affected you. Do not be ashamed that your heart bruised. Do not be ashamed that certain losses changed you. Do not be ashamed that some wounds took longer to heal than you expected. Healing is not a race. Wholeness is not a performance. and growth does not always look graceful while it is happening. Sometimes growth looks like learning how to name your pain without being ruled by it. Sometimes growth looks like finally admitting you are tired. Sometimes growth looks like choosing honesty over image. Sometimes growth looks like refusing to become cynical after disappointment. Sometimes growth looks like coming back to me after a long season of inner noise and simply saying, I am here. My child, even that simple return matters more than you know. I do not need grand speeches from you. I do not need perfect prayers. I do not need flawless language or polished emotion. I want your heart as it is. I want the truth beneath your routine answers. I want the thoughts you keep editing. I want the places where you still feel raw. I want the ache you cannot summarize. I want the longing you barely admit to yourself. That is where intimacy begins, not in performance, not in image and truth. Let there be truth between us. Let the walls lower. Let the silence become honest rather than defended. Let the part of you that has been standing with folded arms finally rest. I am not here to expose you to shame. I am here to draw you into safety. You may still ask why this message had to come now. Why not earlier? Why not during the moments you felt most desperate? Why not before the exhaustion grew so deep, my child? Timing in my hands is never careless. There were things your heart needed to learn before it could receive this fully. Earlier. Some of what I am saying now might have sounded like pressure to you. You might have heard it with fear instead of understanding. You might have tried to turn it into another responsibility rather than an invitation. There are truths that require a certain depth of experience before they can be held well. And you have gained that depth. Pain taught you things comfort never could. Waiting taught you things instant answers never could. Loneliness taught you the difference between noise and real presence. You are hearing me now as someone who has lived enough to recognize the value of what is real. But it also could not wait much longer, because there are seasons when delay begins to harden into resignation. There are moments when the heart becomes so accustomed to disappointment that it stops expecting tenderness. I will not let resignation define you. I will not let exhaustion become your permanent identity. I will not leave you to slowly accept burdens I never assigned to you. That is why I am speaking with urgency now, though not with fear. There is a difference between panic and holy invitation. Panic drives. Invitation draws. I am drawing you. I am waking your attention. I am calling you back to a way of living that is rooted in my nearness rather than your own constant strain. My child, let this truth settle into you. You are not here by accident. You are not hearing these words at random. Even the interruptions in your life have often carried hidden mercy. Even the delays that frustrated you have sometimes protected you. Even the closed doors you mourned have sometimes preserved you for something healthier, deeper, truer. I know you did not always understand it. I know some of it still hurts. I know there are losses you would never have chosen. I am not minimizing any of that. But I need you to trust that I can work with every part of your story. Not just the beautiful parts, not just the parts that make sense, all of it. The shame you carry, the disappointments you replay, the questions you hesitate to speak, the tenderness you are afraid to show, the dreams that feel delayed, the relationships that wounded you, the seasons you thought were wasted. I can meet you in all of it, and now I want to speak life into the places where hopelessness has been quietly growing. There is more ahead for you than survival. There is more ahead for you than getting through one day after another with your heart half numb. There is more ahead for you than managing pain while calling it peace. I am not inviting you back into shallow comfort. I am inviting you into deeper life, a life where your heart is no longer ruled by silent heaviness, a life where your worth is no longer negotiated by comparison, a life where your prayer becomes honest again, a life where you can breathe without feeling guilty, a life where rest is no longer treated like something you must apologize for, a life where love becomes safer because you are rooted in mine first. This does not mean every external struggle disappears overnight. I am not telling you that tomorrow all questions will vanish. I am not promising that every difficult person will suddenly understand you. I am not saying there will be no more waiting, but I am telling you that your inner posture can change. Your soul can stop living as though everything depends on your own pressure. Your heart can begin to release what it was never meant to imprison within itself. Your mind can learn to turn toward truth instead of automatically bowing to fear. Your spirit can become quieter, steadier, more open to my guidance. Healing often begins with a change in what you allow to govern you. Do not let fear govern you. Do not let old pain narrate your future. Let my voice become louder than the accusations you have repeated against yourself. You have called yourself weak when I called you weary. You have called yourself behind when I called you in process. You have called yourself too much when I called you deeply feeling. You have called yourself inconsistent when I saw a heart still trying under pressure. You have called yourself lost when I have been guiding you in ways you could not yet trace. My child, speak more gently to yourself. Learn to see yourself through truth rather than exhaustion. Learn to stop partnering with harshness when I am offering compassion. I correct what harms you, yes, but I do not crush the bruised places. I heal them. I strengthen them. I restore them. Let my way of seeing you become the way you begin to see yourself. I know part of you still resists hope because hope feels vulnerable. Hope requires openness, and openness has cost you before. But guardedness may protect you from some disappointment, while also protecting you from joy, connection, and renewal. I am not asking you to become careless. I am asking you to become rooted. There is a difference. A rooted heart can remain open without being destroyed by every wind. A rooted heart can feel deeply without drowning in every feeling. A rooted heart can endure uncertainty because it is planted in something steady. Root yourself in me again, not in emotion alone, because emotion rises and falls. Not in circumstance, because circumstance changes. Root yourself in truth. Root yourself in my character. Root yourself in the simple fact that I have not left you and will not leave you. Do you know how often I have preserved you in ways you never noticed? How many times I kept something from reaching you at full force? How many times I gave you strength for one more hour, one more conversation, one more morning? How many times I softened your fall when you thought you were abandoned? How many times I kept your heart from hardening completely? My child, you are still here, and that matters. The fact that you are still listening, still longing, still willing to be honest, still capable of tenderness after all you have carried, that matters. There is grace in your continued openness. There is beauty in the way your heart has not completely shut down. I honor that. I honor the courage it took just to remain reachable. Now let me say this clearly. You do not have to rebuild everything at once. You do not have to fix your whole life in a single day. You do not have to answer every question before peace can begin. Start here. Start with honesty. Start with release. Start with letting me into the places you have guarded. Start with giving me the burden you have been rehearsing every night. Start with naming the sadness you usually hide. Start with setting down the belief that you must be endlessly strong. Start with allowing my love to touch what you normally cover. One surrendered burden at a time. Your heart will grow lighter. One honest prayer at a time. The distance will close. One moment of truth at a time. Trust will return. You may not feel dramatic change all at once. Sometimes healing arrives quietly. Sometimes the first sign is simply that your breathing becomes easier. Sometimes the first sign is that your thoughts lose a little of their panic. Sometimes the first sign is that silence feels less threatening. Sometimes the first sign is that you begin to notice beauty again. Sometimes the first sign is that you no longer feel the need to explain yourself to me before resting in my presence. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not assume that only loud transformation is real. I often work like dawn, not explosion. Light grows. Warmth returns. Shapes become clearer. What was once hidden slowly reveals itself. Let healing be allowed to come in the way wisdom chooses, not only in the way impatience demands. I also want to free you from the shame of not being who you were in earlier seasons. You are not meant to go backward. You are not meant to recreate an older version of yourself. You have lived too much for that. You have learned too much for that. The closeness I am restoring in you now will not be the innocence of earlier days. It will be something deeper, stronger, more grounded. Earlier trust may have been simple, but now your trust can become steady. Earlier faith may have been bright, but now it can become durable. Earlier peace may have depended more on what you felt. Now peace can grow roots beneath what you feel. Do not mourn the loss of old simplicity so much that you miss the beauty of mature intimacy being formed in you now. My child, there are things in you I love that you rarely notice. I love the compassion that survives in you after pain. I love the way you still want what is true. I love the fact that even when you are exhausted, you keep reaching for meaning instead of surrendering completely to emptiness. I love the tenderness you sometimes view as a weakness. I love the honesty beneath your tiredness. I love the hidden endurance that has carried you through days no one else fully understood. I love the desire in you to be real, rather than merely admired. I love that somewhere inside your weariness, you still long for me. That longing is not accidental. It is the evidence that my spirit is still drawing you, still awakening you, still reminding you that your home is not in pressure. Your home is in my presence. So come closer now, not with performance, not with rehearsed words. Come with your real thoughts. Come with your tangled emotions. Come with your questions. Come with your fear. Come with your fatigue. Come with the tears you have postponed. Come with the part of you that wants to believe, and the part of you that is scared to believe too much. Bring all of it. I am not asking for half of your heart. I am asking for truth. And when truth meets my love, healing begins. When honesty meets my compassion, walls begin to soften. When surrender meets my faithfulness, the burden begins to shift. Do not worry that you have waited too long. Do not worry that your silence ruined something. Do not worry that your inconsistency closed a door I will not open again. I am not petty with your pain. I am not fragile in my love. I am not keeping score while you are learning how to stand. Return is always possible where love remains, and my love remains. Return is possible even now, in this exact version of your life, with this exact level of tiredness, with these exact questions, with these exact scars. You do not need another life before you can come close to me. You can come close from here, and from here. Things can change. Not all at once, perhaps, but truly, your inner life can become less crowded. Your prayer can become less formal and more alive. Your view of yourself can become less cruel. Your relationship to rest can become less guilty. Your fear of the future can begin to loosen. Your loneliness can begin to lose its authority when you realize you are deeply seen. Your wounds can stop dictating the story of what comes next. Your hope can become quieter, steadier, less dependent on constant emotional proof. That is what I am building in you, not temporary inspiration, but enduring renewal. I know you have tried many ways to feel better. You have distracted yourself. You have reasoned with yourself. You have kept yourself busy. You have told yourself to be grateful. You have tried to manage what you could not heal. None of that makes you foolish. It simply means you were doing what you knew to survive. But survival is not the whole story I have for you. I want wholeness for you. I want freedom for you. I want the parts of your heart that have lived in tension for too long to begin relaxing under truth. I want your spirit to know what it means to be held, not merely functional. I want you to stop living as though your deepest needs are inconvenient. Listen to me now as though we are alone, because in the deepest sense we are. My child, you are loved more than you understand. You are seen more fully than you know. You are held more securely than you feel. You are not an interruption. You are not a burden. You are not too complicated for grace. You are not too wounded for peace. You are not too late for restoration. You are not too uncertain for guidance. You are not too tired for renewal. You are not too broken for tenderness. Let those lies fall away. Let the false names drop to the ground. Receive what is true. What is true is that I stayed with you. What is true is that I am speaking now because your heart is ready for a deeper kind of healing. What is true is that your pain did not make you less precious. What is true is that your loneliness did not make you forgotten. What is true is that your questions did not place you outside my care. What is true is that this season, difficult as it has been, has not ended in emptiness. I can bring beauty from it. I can bring wisdom from it. I can bring compassion from it. I can bring new steadiness from it. I can even use the places that embarrassed you as the very places where grace becomes undeniable. So breathe again, my child. Breathe slowly. You do not have to rush out of this moment. Let your shoulders lower. Let your thoughts settle. Let the weight you have been holding begin to slide from your hands. You do not need to know exactly how everything will unfold. You need only to know that you are not walking forward alone. I am with you in the unanswered places. I am with you in the healing still underway. I am with you in the transition you cannot yet name. I am with you in the mornings that still feel uncertain. I am with you in the nights when your heart feels tender. I am with you in the process, not only at the finish line. And because I am with you, you can begin again. You can begin again with gentleness. You can begin again with honesty. You can begin again without punishing yourself for how hard this has been. You can begin again without pretending you are untouched. You can begin again from exactly where you are. Let today be a turning, not into pressure, but into presence. Let today be the day you stop calling your exhaustion a personal failure. Let today be the day you return what was never yours to carry. Let today be the day you believe that I really do see you. Let today be the day you stop shrinking your need and start receiving my care. I am not asking you for perfection. I am asking you for permission. Permission to enter the guarded places. Permission to quiet the noise. Permission to steady what fear has shaken. Permission to remind you who you are when exhaustion has distorted your reflection. Permission to heal without rushing you. Permission to love you where you have been ashamed. Permission to restore trust where disappointment has been speaking too loudly. Say yes to that quietly in your heart, even now, even if all you can say is, help me. Even if all you can say is, I'm tired. Even if all you can say is, I want to trust you again. That is enough to begin, my child. What is ahead of you is not defined only by what has hurt you. What is ahead of you is also shaped by the love that has kept you, the truth that is calling you, and the grace that refuses to abandon you. There is still life in you. There is still hope in you. There is still purpose unfolding. There is still tenderness worth protecting. There is still peace available to your heart. There is still a future not ruled by the weight you carry today. Keep coming close. Keep choosing truth over the harsh voices. Keep placing your burden in my hands when you notice yourself gripping it again. Keep remembering that you are mine before you are anything else. I will not rush you, but I will stay with you. I will not shame your process, but I will guide it. I will not ignore your wounds, but I will tend to them. I will not leave you to interpret your life only through pain. I will remind you again and again of what is true until truth feels more natural than fear. This is not the end of our conversation. This is the reopening of it. This is the beginning of deeper closeness, deeper rest, deeper honesty, deeper trust. And as you walk forward from here, remember this above all. You were never alone in your sorrow. You were never unseen in your silence. You were never forgotten in your waiting. You were never abandoned in your questions. I was here. I am here, and I will remain here. So lift your heart toward me now, even if only a little. Let hope return quietly. Let peace enter softly. Let truth settle deeply. What you have carried does not have to define you anymore. What hurt you does not get the final word. What exhausted you does not own your future. I am calling you into a steadier place. I am calling you into a gentler way of living. I am calling you out of inner striving and into abiding. I am calling you back to the place where you no longer have to prove your worth, hide your wounds, or survive on your own strength. I am calling you home to my presence. Stay near, my child. Stay open. Stay honest. Let me love you in the places that still ache. Let me strengthen what has grown tired. Let me calm what has been afraid. Let me guide what has felt uncertain. Let me restore what has felt distant. Let me carry what you cannot. Let me remind you, over and over, until it becomes the deepest truth in you, that you are deeply known, deeply loved, deeply held, and never alone.